Hi there again, and welcome to the Spirit of Watercolor. Linda here again. Welcome back. And here we are painting again. I'm in my little studio in the basement, and my table, which is over in front of me here, is covered with paintings of all kinds. And I was just thinking, what would be something that would be really helpful to you today that would make your painting be more successful, where you would really feel good and satisfied about the work you're doing. As we've been doing lots of tips and tricks, I wanted to talk today about the white, the color white, because oftentimes with watercolor, which when we paint watercolor, we paint from the lightest values to the darkest, opposite of like oil painting. I think acrylics you can go either way, maybe. I'm not so familiar with them, honestly. And so what happens when you're painting often is we paint and paint, and what a lot of watercolorists find out is that the best white that you can get is to keep the paper white, black out the areas that you want to be white. And there's more than one way to do that, right? One is maybe, which I would suggest right now, is to, if you like, say, draw your paint, you're doing flowers, for instance, for example, and you want certain parts to be white, take a pencil, because I usually say use a 3B pencil, draw lightly, it erases easily off of watercolor paper. Put little W's or whatever little marks that mean hold the white in these areas. As you're painting through there, you will see that, and it will remind you. Otherwise, we can cover up the whites. The paints, the watercolor paints that are your classic Chinese white, I don't know, I think it's titanium white, those kinds of whites, they're kind of transparent. So if you need to cover and get whites back, they won't correct that. So again, ideally you want to keep the whites of your paper. I can show you any of my paintings. This is one that's not finished, and you'll see there's white areas, say, in these flowers and somewhere in the background, and I may kind of go back in, but I do a little by little. I don't completely take the the painting all the way in the background to, say, the leaves until I'm sure, because sometimes light hits from behind and you do see white around the edges of flowers and so forth. But also within the lilies here, there's whites that I want to keep, and that's mainly the white of the paper. Okay, now if I'm afraid I'm not going to be able to keep all that white, you can use something called masking fluid, and let me grab that for you. Here it is. It comes in all kinds of companies' jars. Winsor & Newton makes it. I don't know what company, but it comes in the color white. It comes in, like, I think a red color. This one's an off-white, because when I apply masking fluid, I use my nib, which is, well, here, let's grab my watercolor nib. Where are you? There it is. Okay. And it's got a thick side and a thin side. And I come into the painting and I say, for example, with this, I want to keep some white somewhere. I would either color it in, okay, or just say I want lines around and I just want to maintain lines of color. I can do thin lines or thick lines with this. This can handle, because it dries, it's a liquid plastic, and it dries after you apply it. You have to put it on first where you want whites to be kept in your painting. And then you paint over it, and later you take either an eraser or a masking fluid, it's like a little plastic thing you can buy, masking fluid lifter, and you just rub it off gently, buff it off gently. Using your fingers, you could do that. I've been told that the acid of our fingers can create a problem sometimes in doing that to the paper, but you can do that if you want to. If you don't have an eraser, most people have an eraser. I use magic rub erasers, just saying. And so here's a painting I've been working on, and I put masking fluid in here, about where these trees are, and I've already lifted it out, but I just wanted to put in a little bit of, like, say, some broken tree pieces, under the trees, and then some of the maybe trunks and so forth in there. I don't know if you can see that. I hope so. I'll try to get it close to the camera here, as close as I can. And then it's remained white, as you can see, right? Okay. And then later I can bring more color in, light colors, or a few, you know, I can bring in as much color into those white areas as I want, but I blocked out the area, okay? So that's a really good way to keep whites. Now, there's other ways to do it as well that I'm discovering. If you know anything about gouache, G-O-A-C-H-E, it is a opaque type of watercolor. Comes in the tubes like the, you know, regular watercolor tubes, and it is good for coming back into white areas, and it works pretty well. But what I've discovered recently is something that a friend of mine gave me, and she just had an extra jar of this, and now I'm kind of stuck on it. It's a Daler-Rowney, I believe is the company, and I don't know if other companies make this, but it's a jar of a opaque white watercolor, and this moves and flows like watercolor. And so if I'm putting, say, the whites back in, I can use this very successfully. I love this very much, and I've become very attached to this. In fact, I've ordered another jar, and it's only from the art store about $6 for a jar, and this has lasted me years, I think several years now. Although I am using it more now because I've been doing seascapes and waterscapes where, you know, sometimes I need a little more detail. And so I can use that for detail work as well, like little leaves and lines and so forth like that. So I just wanted you to see that. I don't know if this is dry, but I've been working on my roses here, and there's little areas of white. Again, here, it might be dripping, but there's white in the roses, and that is all just keeping the white of the paper. I've been doing graduated washes in the petals, but not all the way to the end of each petal. So I'm hoping that gives you some idea. There's whites in here that I'm keeping, and I don't want to lose. So you can see when you have white as one of your colors, it adds a lot of definition to your paintings, right? Not to judge this, I don't know. I like it, I don't know. I'm a loose painter, and I like my work that way. And so, but I still want to have, you know, my colors to be very highly defined. And so I wanted to just do a quick video about white, because it's a vital color in our paintings, and there's more than one way to do it. So that's the tips and tricks on white with watercolor. A wonderful color in many things in our world, and you know, I just think it's an important tip to not forget to mention. So here we are, another way to get a successful, beautiful painting. So thanks for joining me today, and if you like what you're seeing, like and click on the like button and the subscribe button or whatever, and come on back, and we'll do more demos next week, okay? Good to see you again. Have a most blessed and spiritual week. Thank you. Bye-bye.